Welcome Jordy Pineda from the University of Oregon Admissions. Mr. Pineda is here to talk about becoming a duck. So welcome.
Awesome, thank you. All right, thank you all so much. I'm not sure if it'd be best for me to, actually would it be best for me to be standing up here or right here?
Oh no, it's fine.
Okay, cool, sweet. All right, thank you all so much for coming. My name is Jordy Pineda. I'm the admissions counselor at the University of Oregon. Pretty much your go-to, so any kind of questions that you have about applying or even about the UO, you can always feel free to reach out to me. You can, if you would like, you can scan this QR code. Not sure if they allow phones. If they do, if not, I can pass out some little tell me more cards. But any questions you might have, that's pretty much what I'm here for. I'll start off with land acknowledgement. So the University of Oregon is located on Kalapuya Ilihi. It's the traditional homeland of the Kalapuya people. Following treaties between 1851 and 1855, Kalapuya people were dispossessed of their indigenous homelands by the United States government and forcibly removed to the Coast Reservation in western Oregon. Today, Kalapuya descendants are primarily citizens of the Confederate tribes of the Grand Ronde community and the Confederate tribes of the Siletz Indians. They continue to make important contributions to their communities, to UO, to Oregon, and to the world. And cool. So, show of hands. How many of you? Actually, before then, how many of you are y'all upperclassmen?
I'm a sophomore.
Sophomore. Okay, sweet. So you got sophomore,
Junior.
junior,
And I'm a senior.
senior. Sweet. Okay, cool. So we'll hit most of the classes. So that's awesome. And then, out of you, how many have been to Eugene? Have y'all been to Eugene before? Everyone? Sweet. I've been there too. Cool. So the Eugene, Oregon, I want to say it's probably about like an hour and a half south of here. We're located 2 hours south of Portland, 3.5 hours north of the closest California border. We are a population of roughly 180,000 people. Currently the second largest city in the state of Oregon. Every year, Salem and Eugene are like neck to neck. So next year, if you hear me with this presentation, it might be third largest. We're quintessential college town. So like the best way I can describe that is whenever the university is embedded within the town. So that might look like you'll go into a coffee. You'll be walking down Eugene. You'll be going into a coffee town, and then the person who's serving you your coffee happens to be a student at the university. And you just leave, and then you just see a whole bunch of people, repping UO gear across town. Anything that happens within the town of Eugene or within the university impacts the town of Eugene. So they're very connected. It's very nice because it feels like you're a part of a bigger community, which you are. And aside from that, we're also considered Track Town USA. So do any of y'all have any interest in like running? Like track and field, anything like that? Sweet. Okay, cool. Well, that's probably the perfect place for you. I wasn't much of a runner, but we are considered Track Town USA, so we have a bunch of running and hiking trails across across town and even within the campus as well. We host a number of events every year at our historic Hayward Field. Just this past summer, we had hosted the pre-Olympic trials. I know I was there in attendance, Snoop Dogg was there. We didn't go together. We kind of went separate. And so we have a number of events going on, and even when you're just across campus, you'll see a lot of people just running across campus. It's very much embedded within the culture at UO. And aside from that, there are a lot of different things to do in Eugene. We of course have like Saturday markets, we have downtown, we have Matthew Knight Arena, which hosts a number of musical performances throughout the year, and plenty of different ways for people to kind of just get interested in a multitude of things. A little bit about the university. So we are a comprehensive public research institution. You will hear me say the word research a few times. We're comprised of over 23,000 students. Close to 20,000 of those are undergraduate students. Also have 300 academic programs available at the university, and a nice 19-to-1 teacher-to-student ratio, which is pretty sweet because that means that you can actually interact and engage with your professors 80% of the classes at the University of Oregon have 50 students or less, which is pretty nice, just because you are actually able to get a little bit more on one with your professor, ask some questions. Personally, myself, especially in the university, even then, you can come across those classes where it's like 300, 400 students and one professor, and it just kind of feels like you're not really able to ask questions. So as you get on within your study and more within specialized classes, you'll have those smaller niche classes where you can actually interact with the professor a bit more. Just like any other growing university, the University of Oregon is constantly expanding. There's always construction going on. Not in a bad way either, not too much construction. I'd say just the right amount, at least from my experience. We have 2 new residence halls that opened last fall. And we also are currently in phase 2 of the Phil and Penny Knight campus. Just to let y'all know, so Phil Knight is actually the owner of Nike, and he has deep ties to the University of Oregon. So, there's always plenty of ways in which he helps fund certain programs, and there's a lot of rich culture and history because of that. And we also have a few new majors, a couple of which are child behavioral health, which is through the Balmer Institute, which is pretty sweet because if you the Balmer Institute, that one's actually new, so it's for child behavioral health. If you're a part of that, you would be in Eugene the first 2 years, and then your junior and senior year, you would actually be in Portland in the campus, so that's where they have their campus. And through that, they do offer scholarships for students, also, who are also of like financial need as well. And then other majors that we have are cybersecurity. We also have a minor in gaming. I did say that correctly, like gaming, like video gaming, essentially. That's a new minor that just started this fall. So pretty interesting. Kind of sad that I'm not there. And next few slides, I'll be talking a little bit about why you might want to attend the University of Oregon. To be honest, for some of you, it might be a different reason. Hopefully, you can at least connect with one. As mentioned, we are a research institution, so we're actually part of the AAU, so it's Association of American Universities. It's a pretty prestigious group to be a part of. It's a group of 72 universities in the U.S. and in Canada that pride themselves in research. You can, and I think for some of you, you might kind of think, or even like myself, you might think research is exactly like this picture. You can picture someone with like goggles, and they're in the lab. And it's usually very sciencey. You can kind of think of like lab speakers as well. But research expands much more than that. I would say research is pretty much like that 4-year-old that just started talking and is asking their parents all the questions of the world. That's essentially what research is. It expands to any field. It's kind of just people asking those questions, trying to investigate and find new information about their field as well. The cool thing about the university is that you'll have professors that not only are teaching you the information, but they're also conducting their own research. So they're the ones that are creating all that new information and are being pioneers in their own fields as well. So it's awesome to learn from individuals like that, and also close to 3/4 of students also engage in undergraduate research as well. This next slide, something that what makes University of Oregon special is its diverse student body. We are continuing to try and make strides in many ways, trying to figure out ways to continue to support our diverse population. Last fall, the first year students, 38% of them were part of an ethnic or racial minority, and 22% of them were first generation students, part of the university. And this next slide, you can kind of think of it. I heard my colleague say it yesterday, and so I'm taking it over. You can kind of think of it like Harry Potter. You know how you have all those houses like Hufflepuff, Slytherin. It's kind of the same way where you have a bunch of different colleges that are comprised within the university. And within those, you'll have different majors. So you have the College of Arts and Sciences, which is like the heart of the university. That's where the majority of the majors are in. So you can think of like sociology, psychology, even the child behavioral health program that I mentioned, that's in there as well. We also have others such as College of Education and also the School of Music and Dance. So the School of Music and Dance does require a separate application and even an audition if students are interested. We also have a School of Law, which has a minor. We only have one minor within the School of Law for undergrad students. However, we do have a law school where students can study after graduate, but also if you're in the Clark Honors College as an undergrad, you can do what's called the 3+3 program. So if you're interested in studying law, you can do 3 years at the University of Oregon within the Clark Honors College, and then the last 3 years at the School of Law at the University of Oregon. Pretty sweet, you finish it in 6 years instead of 7. And a few of our popular majors, architecture, that is a 5-year track as opposed to most majors that are 4 years to complete. We also have business, which, of course, the majority of students actually start off with pre-business and then are able to declare that business major as they complete a few courses throughout their time. We also have human physiology. My colleague, she actually studied at the University of Oregon. It was a human phys major. Her highlight of her undergraduate studies was being part of a cadaver lab where they dissected human cadavers, which is a little hardcore for me to mention in the presentation, but there we go. And then psychology, of course, as well. Another awesome thing is if you're not really sure what you're interested in studying, we also have what's called an exploring major. So it's kind of like it's our spin on the undecided. So if you do apply as an exploring major and you get accepted, you would start off, you would be partnered with an advisor. That advisor would meet with you and say, hey, what classes or what interests do you have? And then based on that, they'll tell you maybe you can take this class, and at the same time you'll be making sure that you're completing your general education credits. And the goal of that is to, by the time that you're the end of your second year, you'll be able to declare a major. And it's a great way for you to actually make sure that you're, trying to figure out what things that actually interest you and what you feel like might be a great path for yourself. And one thing to note is going to college is one thing, but sometimes you always forget that the goal of college is to help you find your career. So we actually do have a career center on campus. You can go in, you partner in with a career coach. They're there to help you out. If you're a freshman or first year, they would create like kind of a roadmap for you. So they work with you to kind of guess, okay, you need to be in an internship by this year, or you want to land this job. So kind of creating your own path for you, so that way you know what to expect as you go on through years and aren't neglecting that. They also help students with building their resumes, helping find jobs on campus for students that want to work on campus, and then also helping find, I'm not sure if I already said, finding internships. You can also do that as well through the Career Center, and they also host a number of career fairs throughout the year where a bunch of different companies come and they talk to students and they try to recruit them. You come in with your resume, and then you kind of give them like a nice little pitch on who you are and why you might want to work for their company. So lots of great ways for students to be able to get ahead and to make sure that they're already kind of thinking of that next step after graduating. This next slide always makes me a little bummed just because I didn't study abroad. I think it's something that many students who do study abroad don't have any regrets. And a third of our students actually don't have any regrets. So we have a program for like winemaking in Italy, which is pretty sweet. We're even studying psychology in Japan. We have a bunch of different programs that students can be a part of to to be able to get into, and it's kind of any path. So say you can have anything that lasts from like 2 weeks to a program abroad that lasts like a whole year. And we do offer scholarships as well, so you can go to Global Education Oregon, which is our office for studying abroad, and they give you all those options, and then you partner with financial aid to see how you can make that happen, and then apply for those scholarships as well. And then next slide we have, this is going over our clubs and organizations. So we have over 300 student organizations on campus. You can be a part of anything from the Taylor Swift Club to album listening, or even a club for introverts, which is pretty ironic, yeah, cool. And you can also, also within club organizations, you can see fraternity and sorority life. You also have multicultural and identity-based clubs and organizations as well. And another great way to also meet others too is to cheer on our Ducks. How many of you here have followed the Ducks, like either football or sports or anything? It's all good. Oh, YouTube? Okay, cool. Awesome. So yeah, we just joined the Big Ten. So D1 sports is of course pretty big. I think this week College Game Day is actually coming. If you all know who Pat McAfee, I know that guy's going to be there. So it's a great way for people to be embedded within University of Oregon. Not only is being part of the Big Ten big for sports for us, but it's also big in terms of research, because you have all these other universities that you can actually use as a library to be able to receive those resources from. So if, say, UO doesn't have a certain book, maybe University of Michigan might have one, which is pretty sweet. So they're still building that out. And then if you are interested in sports but aren't part of a D1 team, then you can do club sports. So anything from, men's soccer's on that, since they don't have a D1 team. Wrestling, something called wushu, I still don't know what that means. You can try out for that team. You get uniforms, you practice, and then you would also travel to other universities and compete against other people. But if you're like me, I stopped playing in like middle school, so I just joined IMs, or intramural. So that's where people, if you want to kind of have more fun, but you still kind of want to play somewhat competitively, you can join a team, you and a bunch of your friends. Maybe it's some students within the residence halls. I know that's pretty common. People just join a team and it's just for fun. There are people that get a little competitive, but usually for the most part it's fun. And speaking about residence halls, we do offer several residence halls on campus. One thing to note is that we do require all first-year students to live on campus. That is a requirement. We do have 9 residential communities. If you go to housing.uoregon.edu, you can visit. It gives you like a nice little breakdown of all of the buildings. You can find YouTube videos on them. You can also see what the estimated price is per year for them. And then you can also see what that might look like if you're looking to live by yourself, with another person, or with 2 other people. We also offer academic residential communities, which are great to be a part of. Yes?
So for housing for like sports, do you put, like, say, cross-country girls, do you put them with other cross-country girls, or does it?
That may be, so I don't know too much as far as it goes to like athletics. I know that when certain teams, like when they practice during the summer, I think they live together. I don't know what their housing situation looks after that. Usually with these residential communities, these are more like academic. So say if you're like a business major or pre-business major and you want to live in the business arc, that's what we call them, then you would be living with a bunch of other people that are also business majors, and even to that you would have an advisor there within your building that is there to answer any questions you might have about the classes you're taking. They're really there as an extra resource, which is pretty sweet because you're getting ahead, you're networking with other people in your classes. Personally, that's something that I kind of regretted in undergrad, is that I didn't make as many friends in my classes. So that's something that, you just it's always great to get a sense of how other people's study habits are, especially if they're excelling very well, and to just be able to network past that. But unfortunately, I don't know about the like the athletic programs and how they house. And as far as the safety, so we do have safety escorts, free shuttle services, and a UO text message alert for students to receive text messages whenever there is something that is happening on campus, so that way students are aware. Also, those free shuttle services are always great when your dorm is pretty far away, and it's 6 p.m. In like December, so it's kind of a little too dark to walk home. So you always have those resources if you're coming from the library or anything like that that students can use. The next few slides, I'll be talking about funding. So I'll kind of just explain. There's a lot of numbers and everything and figures. So if there's anything that doesn't really make sense, please feel free to just raise your hand. I can break it down a little bit more. One thing that I would like for you all to remember, or at least take away from this presentation, is that we have the Oregon Guarantee. So this is a promise that we have to students that the tuition rate that you have coming in as a first-year student is going to remain the same for your second year, your third year, your fourth, and up to your fifth year. So up to 5 years that you have that same tuition rate. And that's great to have because college is getting expensive every single year. Tuition rate is going up, and sadly, we're no stranger to that. So that's our way of trying to make sure that we have our students know, okay, this is what I signed up for. I know what to expect, and I can try and figure out how to make these expenses work. Another great thing that I would like for you all to kind of know, I'm not sure if have you all heard about financial aid? And how that works. So financial aid, you would apply through either the FAFSA, which is the free application for student aid. So that's the federal application. You can put all of your family's information, kind of like personal information and financial info, and based off that, you can, you might qualify for loans or grants, which is essentially free money from the government. ORSA is essentially the same, however, it's for the state of Oregon, and that one is for can also be for students who are documented or undocumented. And this next slide is just covering some of the first-year scholarships. On the top left, you have the automatic, so these are something that you don't have to apply for; they just get attached to you. So they're based on GPA. So if you are so say when you're submitting your application, you put in your grades, and then we calculate that, and that gives you your total. And then this is a weighted GPA. So if you're taking AP classes or IB classes or even honors classes, that does help with boosting up your GPA. If you have over 3.9, you would qualify for Summit, and then over 3.7, you would qualify for Apex. Those do not stack. So if you have a 3.9, you're not going to get the 5,000 plus the 2,000. It's just going to be the 5,000. And then we also offer a Pathway Oregon, which covers tuition and fees for up to 4 years. And that one is if you're an Oregon resident with over a 3.4 GPA in high school and are Pell Grant eligible. So when you're completing the FAFSA, once you apply, if you qualify for any portion of the Pell Grant, and if you meet the other two requirements for Pathway Oregon, then you would receive tuition and fees for up to 4 years, which is awesome. You can also receive, aside from that, you would also be partnered with an advisor. You have advising resources. You can go into any Pathway advisor, ask them questions. My wife's a Pathway advisor, so she can pretty much help with anything, with helping to register for classes or just, hey, I don't really know, what to do. I've tried going with my advisor. However, usually when it comes to specific, because you'll have a college advisor, and sometimes those are a little bit harder to get to, especially if you're looking to change majors. This is kind of where it's like an all-in-one type service where they can pretty much help you with many different things as far as advising goes. Other additional scholarships that we have, which they do require an application, are stamps, which covers tuition fees, housing, and food and enrichment funds. And that one's one of our more competitive. We only hand out a few of those for in-state and for out-of-state students. We also have President's Scholarship, the Diversity Excellence Scholarship, and the Home Flight Scholarship, which covers tuition and fees for Oregon residents that are enrolled citizens of any of the 574 recognized tribes in the U.S. And we do have, of course, you can always go online. As far as it goes to the additional applications, so say if you apply to the University of Oregon, and a couple of days after applying, you would receive an email prompting you to your application dashboard. So you'd sign up, you log in, and then you're able to apply to those additional scholarships, those on the right, so that way, so you can do that even if you haven't received an admissions decision yet. And applying to the university, there's a couple of different ways to do so. One of which is through the Common Application, which allows you to apply up to 20 universities. And the other one is through the Oregon Application, which you just apply to the UO. There is no preference. We have no preference. If you want to apply through the Common App, that doesn't mean that we're not going to consider your application any less. Any first year requirements, so we don't have a minimum GPA requirement exactly. However, we do have specific admissions requirements and do take these into consideration. So we do ask that students complete 4 years of English, 3 years of math, 3 years of science, 3 years of social studies, and then 2 years of any language other than English. So we do have those requirements, and we do ask that those grades or those years be completed with a C- or better. So if you have a D or a D+, and you'd be like, hey, Mr. Pinella, it's passing. I understand that it is passing. Unfortunately, for us, we do take a look at only C- or better, take those in consideration. Yes.
So for the 3 years of math, I did Algebra 1 in 8th grade, and that counted towards high school credit. Would that count towards the 3 years?
Yes.
Or
yeah. And then, first year students, so there's, when applying to university, there's many things that we take into consideration. So we're looking at you as an individual. We follow what's called the holistic approach. So we're not only looking at your GPA, but we're looking at grade trends. So maybe you didn't start off so hot your freshman or sophomore year, but you've really picked it up your junior or senior year, and you're taking more advanced classes, and you're trying to, you're really trying to improve as a student. We do take a look at that. That's something we consider when looking at your application. We also look to see, the academic rigor. So say if your high school offers like 10 AP classes, but you only take one or you didn't take any at all, we do take a look at that. We do know about that, and we do take that into consideration. And per se, if your high school only doesn't offer any AP classes, then we also take that into consideration as something that we wouldn't, try to hold back on you just because we understand that those aren't offered. If you're a senior, I know senior addicts may or may have not hit. So in the case that it has, we always like to tell our seniors to still continue to try and to take classes, as much classes as you can, especially stay competitive in those classes. College is a whole nother beast, and it can definitely take a lot for students to be able to adjust. So we really want to make sure that students feel prepared from going into high school to college. And then we're also looking at if you're part of any clubs in high school, if you're part of any sports, maybe you work outside of school, or maybe you take care of a family member outside of school. Those are all things we want to take into consideration. Anything that you do outside of school, we want to know about it. You can put that within your app, or you can also put that within your personal statement, or even any other optional statements as well. And we would like to let you all know that we do not require the SAT and the ACT. So They're optional if you want to take them. They don't help you essentially or hinder you too much. They don't help or hinder you. We just have them there. It's just an extra resource for us to use. It's really up to you. And then as far as our admissions deadlines, November 1st is the early action deadline. That is non-binding. So if you apply and you choose that you don't want to attend the University of Oregon, you can always decline the ducks. And then that really is just a way for students to be able to get ahead when applying to scholarships and then also applying to housing. And then January 15th is our regular deadline. February 15th is our document deadline where you need to submit additional documents. And then May 1st is the national, when you decide if you want to be a duck for the next few years of your life or for life. And then just some documents to submit when you're doing your application, either through the Common App. If you're doing it through the Common App, you would just be filling it in through the courses and grades section. And if you're doing it with us, it would be called the SPRAR, which is the self-reported academic record. So you list, as you see on your transcripts, you would fill that in to the application. So you would go to your counselor, you ask them if, the best way to do it is go to your counselor, ask them if they can print out a physical transcript of yours, and then you input those grades. So if it's an A minus, it's an A minus, not an A. If it's a B plus, it's a B plus, not a B. So you definitely want to transcribe those as you see those, and be very careful about that. And then lastly, we do have, if you are accepted to University of Oregon, you would just need to submit your final transcripts after doing so. And then other than that, next steps, what you would like to do is to visit campus. So you can take a tour of campus, and then you could also connect with us. Take a tour of, maybe meet with some faculty or advisors, and then attend any events that you might have. And then you can also connect with me. So one thing to know is, the University of Oregon is such a beautiful campus, so you really have to be there to see it if that's something that you would like to, college is a huge decision. You really want to kind of get as much information as possible, just if you like, the atmosphere, the environment that you're in, and also, of course, the resources that are